All right, everybody. On Monday night, history was made. The Denver Nuggets won their first ever NBA championship. They win the 2023 NBA Finals 4-1, complete the gentleman's sweep against the Miami Heat. They win game 5 by a score of 94-89. And let us see where this takes us in the history of the NBA. With good stuff, Nikola Jokic is your MVP. And the first place in the Western Conference, well, they lived up to it pretty much. You have NBA champions now in Nikola Jokic, Coach Mike Malone, Eric Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Caldwell Pope wins another one, Jeff Green, some pretty good stuff there. So we just have fresh faces, new ideas with us tonight. Everyone else had things going on, but what's going on, faces?
It's good, I'm excited. I can't wait to start photoshopping Wemby into real Spurs jerseys for next week.
I know now things could really switch to your favor. But it's too bad you can't rub it in the faces of some people tonight. But you called it here in this gentleman's sweep. They took care of it pretty handily. Jokic wins your MVP. Just tell me some initial thoughts after seeing Denver win it all on Monday night.
This was a really ugly game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like the last for just the reffing at the end was just horrendous. Like it was horrendous in the first quarter where like Jokic had two, Murray had two, Gordon had two. It was like bad, and Miami just couldn't really pull away. And then
No.
then it was okay. And then like the fourth quarter was awful. Like there was like a 2 or 3 minute stretch where they were just straight up just tackling people.
Yeah, right?
And it just like they wouldn't call fouls. Then we have maybe one of the worst calls in NBA Finals history in the Jimmy Butler 3-pointer, where he kicked
Oh,
Aaron Gordon and got the call.
oh yeah, it
Uh,
got the at the end of the fourth quarter, got his free throws out of that.
like they were trying to, because they did this in game four, where they tried, like they were very clearly trying to extend the series by calling some nonsense on Denver. I mean, obviously Denver did like, so there's a couple things. We talked about this maybe after game 1 and 2. We talked about, oh, if the Nuggets win, um, they're not like one of the historically great teams. Those Warriors teams, the KD, they went 16-4. At no point in any series did they trail. The only reason they lost 2 games in the Sun series is because Devin Booker forgot how to miss for 2 games. Like this
Right.
could have very easily been a team that went 16-2 or 16-3. Like that's like historically good shit. Like they were better than everybody else. And it's not their fault that they didn't have to play Golden State. They played the team that beat Golden State. They played the team that beat Milwaukee. They played the team that beat the Celtics. They played the team like that's you beat whoever's in front of you. You could say, oh, Milwaukee's a title contender. Well, they didn't beat the people in front of them to be title contenders. You have to actually win the games to be a title contender. So, like, yeah, you're gonna dock this playoff run because they didn't beat anybody, but they did. They beat everybody in front of them, and they beat the brakes off of everybody. Like
Yeah.
these games weren't close. Like this Miami team had no shot. We talked about this before, and the crazy thing is, there's a couple of crazy things. This team is super young, like in the sense that they're still like in their mid 20s and they're under contract. Like this core is still together. The Jokic, Murray, Gordon, Porter core is still together, and it's going to get better. Like if you watch, Porter Jr. was terrible throughout the finals. He was awful. Like he's not a great defender. He's an okay rebounder. He did some decent passing, but he's there to score the basket. And he shot like 12% from threes for the series. Like he's going to get better. Or they're going to trade him. Like you can put somebody else to be as inefficient as he is, but he's huge. He's playing with a really smart group of people, and he's just going to be better. So that's a problem. Like Jokic, there's like you talk about a guy's drop off. There's no reason for him to drop off at any point. His game is not based on athleticism. His size is always going to be there. Shooting touch is always going to be there. He's basically going to age like Dirk, except he's already slow. Like
And he said it
there's
himself.
there's no like they're the favorites coming into next year. And they're the favorites until somebody can prove that they're better than them. Because like
Right.
he's the best player.
And before you really have to pay all these guys as well.
But they
It's
already are. They are paying them. They're all under contract.
right,
Like
right. I'm
the
saying
only
before you
guys,
have to give them like max deals and stuff like that, or
well, they're
things
on.
like
I
that.
think Jokic is on his max and Murray's on his max. I don't know. So because of the way the CBA is, I don't know if Murray's going to qualify for whatever the biggest max is, just because he missed those 2 years and he hasn't technically been an All-Star. So I don't
Mhm.
know what the like he's not. I don't know if he's going to qualify for whatever that 5 year, 450 million or whatever the nonsense that it is at that point. Like just simply, so that's going to make them have a lower tax bill.
Yeah.
Jokic is obviously going to qualify for whatever the supermax is. So they're like the guys that got to worry about are like losing Bruce Brown and like Jeff Green's like the Caldwell Pope type guys.
And you
But
saw
like you
a
could,
couple of days ago that they were making deals to get more draft picks, which is funny to see. They could just replace those players with some solid draft picks coming in these
well,
offseason.
yeah. I mean, you could conceivably next year slot Christian Brown into more Bruce Brown's minutes, like that type of stuff. So like yeah, they've had a relatively good job of developing players. They obviously like having a real backup to Jokic would be good, whether it's they have Thomas Bryant, fucking DeAndre Jordan made an appearance in the finals.
That's
Um,
right.
like that would probably be a thing. I think having like an actual point guard, I think would make things a little bit easier on Jamal Murray. I think I've said this um, a couple times during the player front. I think their biggest weakness is Jamal Murray doing too much and having somebody like an actual facilitator who just lets him curl off. Maybe when for those Jokic sitting minutes would help him develop would help him more. But I mean, he played his ass off. I think he was the first player, their first guard to have 10 assists in all of their final games, except
Yes.
I don't think in game 5. Um, and Jokic, like he had essentially a triple double on 60% shooting. He had his in a game where they scored like scoring was terrible. He had 28-16 on 75% shooting. 75% shooting, like you can't guard him.
No, you can.
It's
And it's a
just
guy who's always pass first as well. And it clearly, and as somebody who's not phased by the spotlight at all. And, we have these quotes forever. What is it like to win an NBA finals? It's good. And he's more focused on going home instead of the parade. So I think that, they give him credit for that. Um, as you mentioned, he probably still has a solid 5-6 years of true dominance in him. And even past that prime, I'm sure he will still be able to hold it down and still kill it. And yeah, this is a really solid story for the NBA in general, having specifically this small market franchise win the finals. Right before we did this show, it was always dominated by LeBron and the Warriors for years, and that was a stig with the NBA. And then our first finals we covered, we saw Milwaukee win a title for the first time since the 70s. 22. Why am I blank already? You already had the Warriors and Celtics, but then you
so
have this
the
again. It's pretty cool for them to see for this specific franchise and also Mike Malone. And we know he had a ways to go, somewhat of a disaster in Sacramento, but Denver gave him a chance, and look at him now, right?
yeah, like the parity thing. So there's a stat that I saw recently. I want to say under David Stern's tenure, 10 teams won the NBA finals.
That's nuts. And
And
like
since Adam Silver's taken over, 7 different teams have won the NBA finals.
that's awesome
Like,
for the league. It really
yeah,
is.
that's really good. And the parity partly because of how the CBA is going to be extended because you're going to need your 2 guys and that's how it's going to be. So like it's good like this, but like Denver's going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem for a while because they're just not going to go away. And good for Miami for getting this far, but like they don't have like it was so clear they were outmatched on all of on everything because we talked about it. And like I think the two things Miami's takeaway should be is Bam played really well. Like this was Bam's best postseason ever. Because like the knock on Bam is he's not aggressive enough. And that's basically been like it's the same thing like Giannis has no ability to score outside of like dunking it. Bam has just been the same player basically since they made the bubble run. But he played really, really well in these finals. He was really aggressive. And then the other thing is Jimmy Butler did not play well in these finals. Like
No,
he was very
you
passive.
can't say that. You can say that he didn't step up. Not wrong for saying that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was because he was hurt, because he got hurt in the Knicks series, but like he was not the all world Jimmy Butler. And I don't know what happened to the Tyler Hero thing. Like the report
Yeah,
was he was
never.
ready to go in game 5.
Yep, saw that go that from Shams and Woj, and just wasn't in the rotation for whatever reason.
Yeah, so like, yeah, they can. I still think what I said at the beginning of this playoff run is accurate. It makes more sense for Miami to see what they can get for Jimmy Butler than it is to try to run it back with him because you're not going to end up with the same the same type of run where you go into the finals. Like teams are going to get better in theory. Like Milwaukee will probably figure this shit out. Um, there's probably teams in the East that are going to get better. But like
Watch out for other some smaller market teams in the West too. Who knows what Sacramento can
right,
pull
like
off?
yeah, there's like the Miami. It's clear like Denver's the team everyone needs to match up to, and Miami clearly cannot reach that level as they currently constructed. And I don't know who trading for is like going to make a difference because you're going to need another big guy. Like they're going to need some more sign somewhere. And I don't well like who is going to be the are you going to get Jared Allen? Are you going to get like somebody like that to try to go up against Jokic?
Unless
Like
they want to,
I don't
Cleveland wants to see what they have going if they want to make a deeper run than this playoffs.
yeah, like Cleveland's a team that will probably do better. We don't know where teams like we don't know maybe Detroit surprises people next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I guess we could talk about the Hornets with the Pelicans news, so that might jumpstart the Hornets. Um, the Knicks will probably be better. I
I
can't
don't want
imagine
that.
Boston's going to melt down again like that. God knows what's going on with Philly, but like most of the teams are going to be better than they were last year, and I
Yeah.
don't see like what Miami's going to do. Like even if they get Dame, are they that much better? Is Dame enough to close the gap on Denver? I don't think so.
I don't
Maybe.
if you put Dame in this specific series with they I think they at least get it to 6, but they can't really get it over the hump like that. No, you have to figure out what you can, and especially with this, transition with the segment of where does Miami go from here, and especially a franchise who have now lost 2 of the last 4 NBA finals, so now they are getting to this position, but they're not closing out that final series, and now you really have to see. Obviously, Spoelstra is one of the best coaches we'll ever see, Hall of Fame coach, no doubt. But what can else does he have to do to get that first championship in the non-LeBron era, too? And that's these things we're brainstorming. It's a very interesting question going into this offseason.
Yeah. I got really nothing else about this. Like it's all season time. I imagine we're gonna get. I think the John news is probably gonna drop over the weekend. That would be
Oh
my
yeah,
guess.
it was funny seeing it on Twitter. The one thing, despite Denver winning their finals, the other thing was, all right, the John Morant decision will come out soon, any day now. Yeah, it must be, it's definitely any day now,
Because they have
and
like
at least
the
before the
Grizzlies
draft
got
too.
yeah, it has to because like you can't fuck a team like that post like before the like after the draft because they got to make this because maybe they make decisions during the draft that they wouldn't have made otherwise. Like that's you got to have that shit. So
Right. And one last thing with this, and one question we asked a couple weeks ago, and now we can say it again, and I guess we were leaning towards this about Jimmy Butler after this loss. Is Jimmy Butler a superstar?
Are you asking me? I still
Yeah,
think the
yeah.
answer is yes.
And you do feel that way. And
Yeah,
despite
like just because he played poorly in the finals doesn't mean like he beat that Milwaukee team.
right,
Like
he'll have that
they made
iconic
it
shot forever.
like he has shown that he can carry a team through multiple playoff series. That bubble run was incredible. Like he's done it.
And he
He's not
did
a
have a
regular
great
season.
fourth quarter in Game 5, despite not playing well in the finals at all. We have seen him, go ham in the fourth quarter when he needs to be.
Yeah, he's a very good superstar, but like in the same way that Jason Tatum's a superstar. He's
Yeah,
a really good player who can carry you through a couple rounds, but like hasn't found the right, I don't know if it's the right pieces, the right team, the right place to like be the superstar. Like Aaron Gordon was bad in Orlando. Like but this was like his good spot. Like this happens
right.
all the time. Some player ends up on a team that just like way more suited to their talents because they were in like a
Jalen
shitty
Brunson
situation.
this year. I don't want
Yeah.
to say it was a toxic situation down, or maybe it was, but yeah, you're right. Some players need a different environment, and across all major league sports, we've seen that, and it works sometimes. And I think the Miami thing is working for Jimmy, but it could be that extra piece that they need or whatever. And he is getting older. He's been in the league for a long time now, and I'm sure you want to close that gap as soon as you can, whether it's just sacrificing and trading him to a better situation for him, or if Pat Riley wants to pull up all the stops and they bring people to Miami.
Yeah, like I don't know. They're an interesting team to watch. I like it's a hard team to count out. But like we said that after the bubble season, they got swept the next year. Like
Yeah.
we don't know what they're going to end up in uh for next season. Like we just don't know. Like part of the play-in tournament makes it they have more advantage situations. Like if they had won the playoff game against Miami, maybe they lose in the first round to Boston.
You know, one player I forgot was on this roster, and I wonder if he was truly healthy, do you think he would have made a difference? Is Victor Oladipo?
So maybe I think the biggest problem with the Heat faced during the series is they were just too small. Like
Yeah, you could really notice it in the finals, especially.
they really like Bam's only 6'9", 6'10" ish maybe. Like that's how big Michael Porter Jr. is. Like Bam is roughly the same size as like Miami's or as Denver's like third biggest player. Like that's a problem for them. Like that like having Oladipo may have helped a little bit, but it's not um I don't think it would have made like a huge major difference. I mean, maybe you wouldn't have had so many minutes from like maybe they would have played Gabe Struslev, Max Struslev, because he was not playing very well. Or
No, he
maybe they would
wasn't
have
hitting
played a
his
little bit,
threes when he should have.
yeah, like that type of shit. But I don't know. I think at this point, it, like as tough it is as it is with Oladipo, I don't know that he can like realistically be healthy all the time, which is a bummer because he was really
Yeah,
good when he was.
definitely, man. It's injury prone players are such a tough are so tough to watch, especially when they have talent. But the best ability is availability, and that's part of being a great player as well, is staying on the field or the court or wherever. But it's interesting stuff, faces. The
I do
Heat.
want to can we touch very quickly on because we're gonna the
Yeah,
draft is the next show, but there is some pre-draft news. So apparently the Pelicans are trying to get Scoot, um, and I think they should go
out of
all in.
Villanova.
No,
No, no,
Scoot,
sorry.
the G League point guard. I think
Oh yeah, Scoot Henderson.
yeah,
Excuse
I
me.
think they should trade the Pelican or they should trade the Hornets Zion for the second pick, and
Yes.
then they should trade some combination of Brandon Ingram for the third pick. And then they build around LaMelo, or they build around Scoot and Brandon Miller or whoever else they pick. And there are other resilient of first round picks and whatever else. They could just blow it up because you can't trust Zion. You just can't trust Zion. I think it's too much at this point. You give Zion to the Hornets and let them pay it. Let them pay him and LaMelo like $1 jillion, and maybe they're good, and it comes back to bite you in the ass. But like, you're not going to be the title contenders. Like, it's been, I think there's just too much damaged goods in New Orleans for him to stay there.
Do you think a team, whether it's the Hornets or ever, do you think they will be willing to trade for Zion? Because there's somebody who wants to, quote unquote, fix him if he could.
If I had a choice between Zion or Kyrie, I don't know who I would take, but I would touch Zion. I wouldn't touch Zion with like a 10-foot pole. Like, I don't, unless like, I don't know how you would confirm or like figure out what the fuck is going on with him, like conditioning wise. Like, there's no way you'd like, unless whatever his contract was had like all the Embiid guarantees, like unless he plays like 50 games or something, he like doesn't get paid. I just can't, like, he may just be damaged goods. Like, the human body is not built to be 6'6" and have that firepower, have the springing ability that he is. It's just not like capable.
I think it's so too, and it was really dominant in the college level for college level players, but in the pros, it clearly has been a nightmare this whole time. And in terms
it's
of
not that he's not dominant, he just can't get healthy. And I don't know if it's because he's fat or what it is. Like, that's the real question. So I would be afraid of trading for Zion. But the Hornets are a franchise that you could, convince them to do some dumb shit like that.
Right. And I want to touch him either. And beyond all the bad PR he's going through, it is about health at this point. And
I think you can probably get Brandon Ingram on a little bit of a discount, because there was that story recently that like his teammates aren't happy with him, that he like when he gets like small injuries that he doesn't play through them, like that they do.
And yeah, in this whole, I know they had a small playoff run, but New Orleans, all this stuff has set them back a few years now. And if I'm then, and also having head coaching problems, trying to find that good fit as well, it's been tough for New Orleans. And if you do blow it now, it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, they still have a bunch of picks coming in. They can get a whole bunch more picks. Like, there's no way they can't get like a couple, maybe 2 first rounders for Zion from the Hornets, or like Terry Rozier or Gordon Hayward or some shit. Like, as long as you're not taking back Miles Bridges, you're fine.
And we know with the whole team was just bad PR with Charlotte. They need some revamping too. And I've even heard of rumors of, if the NBA either wants to expand or go to a new city, that pretty much Charlotte is first on the list to relocate somewhere else. So if Michael Jordan, who wants to, and Michael Jordan even paid us some of his shares on the team, if they want any relevancy again, this could be the time where you might see them as the Vegas Hornets.
Yeah, because if you think LaMelo is your guy, which there's really no proof that he is, any more than there's really proof that Bradley Beal is the guy, like, you go get Zion. Or even if you get like Brandon Ingram, like, that's an improvement over anything else that you have. But like, there's pieces there that they could do.
I'm trying to think, Faces. Who is one true player, whether it's the NBA or another league, who was drafted really high, did not meet expectations for the first team he was drafted to, go somewhere else, and has that special career, or at least strived in his new team? I'm trying to think. I know there were players who moved and were like great role players, like, I don't know, is like Bill Walton, maybe, even though he came to the Celtics after he was hurt.
The reason he was hurt. Like guys move and get and flourish. All like Isaiah Thomas was on like 3 teams before he was good in the
The Celtics.
Go with the Celtics.
Yeah, it's like Sacramento and
like they're guys who like Tyrese Halliburton is probably a little bit too early, but Paul Millsap was with Utah for a long time before he like broke out in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So there's plenty like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Just has to get that final ring once and for all he's been going for. But yeah, clearly it's possible. And Zion, beyond all the aggravation, he can be dominant when all things work out. And you really hope for this guy because he really was maybe the most popular athlete in the world at one point. I mean, they have the Zion cam when he was doing his Duke game, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he was his game is flashy. He's he's an easy marketable guy. Like you can market him. It's pretty easy to market a guy like that. And it just didn't work out because his body can't hold up or he doesn't take enough care of it.
Right. And we're going to just have to see. There's some good stuff ahead indeed. So before we wrap this up, let's just put it on the record right now, Faces, on June 13th, 2023. Tell me your way too early finals predictions. A year from now, who's going to be in the finals and winning it?
I'm going to say Denver repeats. And I think they beat the Bucks. Because I think Milwaukee is the safest bet in the East to keep their core together. And I have issues with Boston. Like I wouldn't pay Jaylen Brown. But I don't know what you do. Like you trade it for a poo-poo platter in Houston or what? Maybe you trade him with maybe trade him to Portland, get the third pick, do something with that.
I'm really interested to see what Portland does this offseason. Really, really interested. You know what? I'm going to pick the one team that beat Denver twice this year. The only one. Total bias aside. Total bias pick. But let's have the New York Knicks win the East against the Denver Nuggets on pure fantasy and just so I can say it on the record. And
I mean, if we're saying fantasies, then obviously Wembanyama's going to average 35 and 15 with 4 blocks, and the Spurs are going to win the title.
And they play. We'll do the Spurs and Bucks.
The Spurs and Knicks.
The Spurs and Knicks, a rematch in '99. I like it. We'll keep that together. But all right, Faces, I will see you next week with some draft coverage. And we will already start a new NBA season right away. How about that?
Yeah. All right. This is a good one.
For sure. Have a great night, Faces. Thank you.